here, your favorite ginger bibliophile. I hope you're all doing really well. Oh, let's play with that a little bit. There we go. Got a little bit more of the spooky vibe. So you can see the blankie. And I have the appropriate pillow. It has some holes on it. I really need to try to figure out how to get those off. But one does not, stop buying books simply because there is no shelf space. Bookish, because duh. And also, doesn't that have Lord of the Rings vibes? we forgot the simply in there. But that was an awesome present from a few years ago. So, gotta set the mood, and then it's Monday. We're doing fairy tales. I don't have Grimm's, but I got some Pocahontas. Because you can't go wrong with that. Ooh, sweet tea. But of course, I had to doctor it up because it's not cool yet. And if you're gonna have warm tea, it's gotta be herbal. So we got strawberry hibiscus with the sweet tea base. Because I love strawberry, but it's a very weak flavoring. And then Grimm time, because it's Monday, and that's what we do on Mondays. As well as take naps. Little man got tired of guarding, so he's asleep on the footstool between blankets, and Franny is flopped out on the floor under the fan. It's been a long day of, yelling at neighbors and small dogs and, trying to bowl for birdies. And yelling at poor Jackie Boywolf. Little man yelled, Franny got all in his business, like, I'ma sniff you, so you better be okay with it. But now everybody is exhausted, so we can do a little reading. And today we've got the robber bridegroom. That sounds a little messed up. Very appropriate for Grimm's. So, but if that's not your thing and you really want the puppies, I got some playlists down below for you. And all the other bookish fun. Because it is just laid back, like, my head is not in it. This intro has gone on too long, but it is what it is. I'll be weird. Y'all can feel better about how y'all do now compared to this. So, once upon a time, there was a miller who had a beautiful daughter, and when she was grown up, he wanted to see her well provided for and well married. If the right suitor comes along and asks to marry her, he thought, I shall give her to him. She gets her own choice, butthead. It was not long before a suitor appeared who seemed to be very rich, and since the miller found nothing wrong with him, he promised him his daughter. The maiden, however, did not love him the way a bride-to-be should love her bridegroom, nor did she trust him. Which is why, if we got love with him, we get the choice. No asking daddy or else. Whenever she looked at him or thought about him, her heart shuddered with dread. One day he said to her, You're my bride-to-be, and yet you've never visited me. I don't know where your house is, the maiden replied. My house is out in the dark forest, said the bridegroom. She tried to make excuses and told him she would not be able to find the way. But the bridegroom said, Next Sunday, I want you to come out and visit me. I've already invited the guests, and I shall spread ashes on the ground so you can find the way. Ashes? Where'd you get them from? And better hope there's no wind. He's going to end up all Hansel and Gretel. When Sunday arrived and the maiden was supposed to set out on her way, she became very anxious, but could not explain to herself why she felt so. She filled both her pockets with peas and lentils to mark the path. Smart girl. At the entrance to the forest, she found that ashes had been spread, and she followed them while throwing peas right and left on the ground with each step she took. I'm pretty sure there's some critters that would like those peas. She walked nearly the whole day until she came to the middle of the forest. There she saw a solitary house, but she did not like the look of it because it was so dark and dreary. Okay, that sounds kind of like my kind of house. She went inside and found nobody at home. The place was deadly silent. Then suddenly a voice cried out, turn back, young bride. The den belongs to murderers. Who will soon be at your side. The maiden looked up and saw The voice came from a bird in a cage hanging on the wall. Once again it cried out, turn back, young bride. The den belongs to murderers who will soon be at your side. The beautiful bride moved from one room to the next and explored the entire house, but it was completely empty. Not a soul could be found. Finally, she went down to the cellar, where she encountered a very, very old woman, whose head was constantly bobbing. And we get a nice little picture there of the old lady in the cellar, the very creepy shadow. Could you tell me whether my bridegroom lives here? Asked the bride. Oh, you poor child, answered the old woman. Do you realize where you are? This is a murderer's den. You think you're a bride soon to be celebrating your wedding, but the only marriage you'll celebrate will be with death. Just look. They ordered me to put this big kettle of water on the fire to boil. When they have you in their power, they'll chop you to pieces without mercy. Then they'll cook you and eat you, because they're cannibals. If I don't take pity on you and save you, you'll be lost forever. The old woman then led her behind a large barrel where nobody could see her. Be still as a mouse, she said. Don't budge or move, otherwise it will be all over for you. Tonight, when the robbers are asleep, we'll escape. I've been waiting a long time for this chance. No sooner was the maiden hidden than the godless crew came home, dragging another maiden with them. They were drunk and paid no attention to her screams and pleas. They gave her wine to drink, 3 full glasses, one white, one red, and one yellow. That's a new one. And soon her heart burst in two. Then they tore off her fine clothes, put her on a table, chopped her beautiful body to pieces, and sprinkled the pieces with salt. That's all the seasoning they're gonna do? Behind the barrel, the poor bride shook and trembled, for she now realized what kind of fate the robbers had been planning for her. One of them noticed a ring on the murdered maiden's little finger, and since he could not slip it off easily, he took a hatchet and chopped the finger off. But the finger sprang into the air and over the barrel and fell right into the bride's lap. The robber took a candle and went looking for it, but he could not find it. Then another robber said, Have you already looked behind the barrel? Uh-oh. Now the old woman called out, Come and eat. You can look for it tomorrow. The finger's not going to run away from you. I like Granny. The old woman's right, the robber said, and they stopped looking and sat down to eat. The old woman put a sleeping potion into their wine, and soon they lay down in the cellar, fell asleep, and began snoring. When the bride heard that, she came out from behind the barrel and had to step over the sleeping bodies lying in rows on the ground. She feared she might wake them up, but she got safely through with the help of God. The old woman went upstairs with her and opened the door, and the two of them scampered out of the murderer's den as fast as they could. The wind had blown away the ashes, but the peas and lentils had sprouted and unfurled, pointing the way in the moonlight. What the heck? That's some serious magic. They walked the whole night, and by morning they had reached the mill. Then the maiden told her father everything that had happened. When the day of the wedding celebration came, the bridegroom appeared, as did all the relatives and friends that the miller had invited. As they were all sitting at the table, each person was asked to tell a story. The bride, though, remained still and did not utter a word. Finally, the bridegroom said, Well, my dear, can't you think of anything? Tell us a good story. All right, she said, I'll tell you a dream. I was walking alone through the forest and finally came to a house. There wasn't a soul to be found in the place except for a bird in a cage on the wall that cried, turn back, young bride. The den belongs to murderers who will soon be at your side. Then the bird repeated the warning. My dear, it was only a dream. After that, I went through all the rooms and they were empty, but there was something about them that gave me an eerie feeling. Finally, I went downstairs to the cellar where I found a very, very old woman who was bobbing her head. I asked her, Does my bridegroom live in this house? Oh, you poor child, she responded. You stumbled onto a murderer's den. Your bridegroom lives here, but he wants to chop you up and kill you. Then he wants to cook you and eat you. My dear, it was only a dream. The old woman hid me behind a large barrel, and no sooner was I hidden than the robbers returned home. dragging a maiden with them. They gave her all sorts of wine to drink, red, white, and yellow, and her heart burst in two. My dear, it was only a dream. One of the robbers saw the gold ring was still on her finger, and since he had trouble pulling it off, he took a hatchet and chopped it off. The finger sprang into the air over the barrel and right into my lap. And here's the finger with the ring. With those words, she produced the finger and showed it to all those present. The robber, who had turned white as a ghost while hearing her story, jumped up and attempted to flee. However, the guests seized him and turned him over to the magistrate. Then he and his whole band were executed for their shameful crimes. That could have been much darker. That's why we get to choose our own. In most cases. Some of y'all shouldn't be choosing your own. But at least let your friends pick. Dad doesn't get to just give permission to sell you. So hopefully y'all enjoyed that one, and we'll see what ends up next. 'Cause we'll be on 41. Can you believe we've made it that far? That's almost 20% in. So hopefully y'all enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Bye. Happy reading.